Hello friends, welcome to the all exam review series on signals and systems part 2. In this part also we are going to discuss the questions from the RPSC. The details of examinations are given in the description. So here in the question number 1, the signal xt is given, which is a cos omega naught t plus 5, and it is asked that which one of the following this signal is categorized into. So the properties of signal given are majorly from the energy and power signal category. So if you observe, this signal is in a cosine form and which is a periodic signal. So one point to note here is all the periodic signals falls in the category of power signals. Now by energy signal and power signal, we mean that a signal which is having a finite energy and power to 0, it falls in the category of energy signal. And if its power is finite and its energy is infinite, it falls in the category of power signal. So for the given question, the option number second is the correct answer. So it is a power signal. Moving on to next question, it is asked there is a discrete time system which is defined by input-output equation, and we have to evaluate the properties of this system. So consider that this is a system and input given to this system is xn. We are having output as yn and its relation is output is x of n square. First property to evaluate is causal behavior. So by causal system we mean that the present output depends on the present and or past values of the input applied. So if we evaluate it at 0 time instance, it will depend on the 0 time instant. For one value of time instant, it will depend on the 1, and if I evaluate at n equals to 2, this will be x of 4. So that time n equals to 2, we are taking output, and it says that input is to be given at the time n equals to 4. So this does not support the causal behavior, so it falls in the category of a non-causal system. Second property to evaluate is linearity. So system is linear if it follows the homogeneity and additivity property. So by homogeneity we mean that if system observes this kind of behavior, if it satisfies this equation, we say system is homogeneous. So if you will apply input as a cxn, so the output obtained will be cx of n square, and if you directly multiply with the given input, given output, so it will also be equals to x of n square. So we can say that by this expression system is homogeneous. Also, to test the additivity, if you give one time input as a x1n, it will result in x1n square. Another input given is x2n, it will result in x2n square. If you sum them, and if you given input as a combined, so then also it will result in the same output. So this relation give you the additivity properties behavior. So system is linear, system is non-causal. Now to test the its time invariance property. So by time invariance we mean that the input output equation does not change with reference to time. So this is the at time instance n, the output is given as x of n square. Now if time instance is shifted, so we will get output like this. So we can say that this system does not follow the time invariance property. Now question number 3, the Fourier transform of double-sided exponential signal xt, and xt is given. So when it is said that double-sided for a given signal xt, its Fourier transform is evaluated using this relation. So considering the entire time axis, e to the power minus j omega t dt. Now if you plot this given signal e to the power minus b mod of t, so for the positive part it will be like this, and this is when t is less than 0. At t equals to 0, this amplitude will be 1. So when you will be putting these values, and you will solve it from minus infinity to 0 and then from 0 to infinity. So in this case the expression of x of t will become, because t mod of t can be written as minus t when t is less than 0, and it will be written as plus t when t is greater than 0. So by putting this expression of x of t, you can evaluate this value, and overall result obtained for the question number 3 will be first option. Now question number 4, it is given that there is a function which is defined by ft u of t, and it is shifted towards the right by the amount t naught. We have to find the equation of the shifted signal. So whenever a signal say xt is given, and you shift it towards right, it is converted in the xt minus t naught. So the whatever variable is there, it is shifted. So for the given signal which is starting from t equals to 0 to infinity, if it is to be shifted towards right, so we will obtain the new signal as f of t minus t naught, u of t minus t naught, and its limit will be from t0 towards infinity, whereas this signal is existing from 0 to infinity. So from the given options, option number 3 is the correct for question number 4. Question number 5, there are two signals given which are continuous in time, and we have to test the periodicity of these two signals. Now, it is not necessarily that independent periodic signals, when they are added, the overall signal obtained is a periodic. So to test, suppose we consider first signal as x1t, and we find the individual components of the signal and their time period. So say first part is say let the time period is t1, so we will obtain it by using the relation omega equals to 2 pi by t. So if you write omega is equals to 2 pi by t, then you will get the value of 2 pi by omega. So first component of x1t, the frequency omega is equals to pi, so this comes out to be 2 seconds, and second component which is having value of omega is equals to 4 pi. So if you put here, so this value will be 1 by 2. So if you find the ratio of t1 over t2, this will be 4 by 1. 4 by 1. So this is a rational number, and we will say that if this ratio comes out to be rational, we say that the given signal is a periodic signal. So part 1 of this question, given signal x1t is a periodic. Similarly, for the second signal, which is x2t, if you find its first component t1, and in that case this t1 will be 2 pi by omega, and omega is equals to 5 pi, so this value is 2 upon 5, and for t2 this value is 2 pi divided by 13 pi, and we will obtain this value as 2 by 13, and their ratio, which is 2 over 5, 13 over 2, and it comes out to be 13 upon 5. So this is also a rational number, signal is periodic. So both the options which are given here, both are periodic in nature. So this is first option is the correct answer for question number 5. Question number 6, the initial conditions in a system are 0, and what does it mean? We have to mark out of the given following 4 options. So whenever initial conditions of system are 0, we call it at a rest, and it does not store energy in any of its part. So generally the components which store energy are in inductor and capacitor, and in the form of electromagnetic and electrostatic, these store the energy. But if initial conditions are 0, we call them they are not storing any energy and they are at the rest condition. Question number 7, the region of convergence commonly known as ROC is to be determined for this Z transform of a unit step function. Unit step function defined by UN, which is existing from 0 to infinity, else its value is 0. So when you will evaluate its Z transform of UN, which is Z upon Z minus 1. So also you note here that there is one pole and there is one 0. 0 is existing at origin, and one pole is at Z equals to 1. If you draw it in a Z plane, and signal UN is from the shows the causal behavior. So for all the causal signals, its ROC lies in the outside of the circle, the radius which is defined from the pole. So for this part, question number 7, the option first is the correct. In the next question number 8, we have to find the inverse Laplace transform for the given signal e to the power minus as over s. So before going into the solution of this, you should know the Laplace transform property, which is time shifting. So if xt Laplace is given, you can find the Laplace transform of shifted signal using this property of time shifting, and u of t, which is a unit step signal, its Laplace transform is given by 1 by s. So now if you compare it, the function given is e to the power minus as multiplied by 1 by s. So from applying the inverse Laplace transform property, the inverse Laplace of 1 by s is written as u of t, and inverse Laplace of the entire term by shifting towards towards right. So the answer of this will be this will be option number 3. This will be the answer, u of this e to the power minus as divided by s. This is not the correct. So option 3 is the correct answer. Next, for the question number 9, we have to convolve two different signals. One signal is x of t plus 5, another is unit impulse signal which is shifted at t equals to 7. Now there is important property of impulse signal that whenever it convolves with any signal, that signal is taken at the time instance of the original signal. So when this time instance t plus 5 will be convolved with t minus 7, the overall result obtained, that will be t minus 2. But if you want to solve it with the help of Laplace transform, it can also be solved. You can write it e to the power 5s multiplied by x of s, and its Laplace transform will be e to the power minus 7s multiplied by 1, which is the Laplace of delta t, and overall result it will be e to the power minus 2s multiplied by x of s, and by taking the inverse Laplace it will result in x of t minus 2. So option 3 for this given question number 9 is the correct answer. Next, question number 10, it is asked we have to find the minimum number of delay elements required in realizing this digital filter with the transfer function h of z. Now, whenever it is asked that minimum number of delay elements, always consider we have to draw the direct form 2 structure of the given digital system. So in direct form 2 system, we have to realize poles first, and then we have to realize its zeros. And this is your overall system, which is representing h of z. Now, if you draw the realization structure of this system, there are 3 poles. So we will be having 3 unit delay elements. So say unit delay element means z to the power minus 1. So these are 3 unit delay element. First part is represented by pole. So here it will be minus c, then this will be having minus d, and here you will have minus e. These are summed up to get the summation of all the pole terms. So this is your denominator part, here input x of z, and for numerator part this part will represent 1, and first is a z minus 1, so this will be a added with the forward path, and another part is b, so it will produce z to the power minus 2. So if you add them, this structure is realizing the overall given system, and minimum number of unit delay elements required for this system is 3. Next, question number 11, it is given that there is a compound system which is shown in figure below, and output is equals to the input. If we read it, output is equals to input with a delay of 2 units. Now suppose we assume that input given is xn and output is yn. So it is saying that output is equals to input with a delay of 2 units. So you can write it, delay given is n minus 2, and its system function h of z can be written as z to the power minus 2. Now the connection of system which are given h1z and h2z, these two systems are connected in series or in cascaded. So the overall response of this system is multiplication of individual h1z and h2z. One transfer function of system is given which is h1z, and if you convert it, it can be written in this form. So by taking common z in numerator and denominator, you can write it, and this is given, and also we have obtained that overall transfer function is z to the power minus 2. So this h2z will be 1 over h1z multiplied by z to the power minus 2. So 1 over h1z result in 1 minus 0.8 z to the power minus 1 divided by 1 minus 0.5 z to the power minus 1, and this term is multiplied with the z to the power minus 2. So if you multiply it with z to the power minus 2, you multiply here with the z to the power minus 2 in option number 2, so it will be z raised to minus 2, 0.8 z minus 3 divided by 1 minus 0.5 z minus 1. So this is your answer of question number 11.